Wow. I mean, you talk about celebrities. We haven't had a football player on here yet, except for Andy Lee, who is a punter for the Arizona Cardinals,
That
right?
doesn't really count. Oh, professional. Okay, excuse me. Professional. It counts. It counts.
Punter. He's a punter. Eric Lain from the ACC Network, a colleague of mine at ESPN, and just a generally good guy who I happened to meet at Clemson Life graduation. Eric was the keynote speaker, and he did a phenomenal job sharing the message of Clemson Life. Break it down for us a little bit, Eric. How'd it go?
Man, it was a lot of fun. I can't tell you how humbled, how honored I was just to be a part of that. And you know, Clemson Life, as it is to you, for much deeper and different reasons, but for me, has been such an important, such a special part, you know, of my journey. And you know, I remember early on when I got to Clemson, just seeing that program and how it's changed and how it's developed and gotten so much better. Just brings my heart a lot of joy. But to be the model program, you know, to me throughout the world, and what Clemson Life provides, the schooling, the opportunity, it's been so much fun. So just tried to share a little bit of that story, a little bit of that curriculum, as I know all those parents and guests already knew that. And then just really trying to encourage those young men and women in the fact that, you know, it was scary to get to this point, but it's going to be even scarier now. You're getting out of that awesome bubble that is of Clemson, but you have all the tools, you have all the resources, and cannot wait to see what they do in the real world, as we say, because the future is so much brighter with them in it.
Yeah, and you're so right. And your message was so spot on. I mean, everyone was talking about after the fact. I mean, have you seen a more spirited graduation with
Oh,
12 people that walk across the stage and they are partying like, you know, it is just so cool to watch. It's so emotional. It just brings every emotion to the whole setting.
it does. And you know what was crazy is it is such a passionate thing for me, and it's such a heart thing. And as I was writing, just because it was so different, I felt I had to write it out. Normally I like to just go off the top of the head here, but as I'm writing this, Debbie, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna break down, I'm not gonna be able to do this, just because it is such a thing to me. And as I got kind of close to that moment, you know, I look over to the graduates and they're cheering and excited and pumping their fists. I'm like, I can't cry. This is a celebration. This is awesome.
Right.
And it was so encouraging. And even I had the privilege to speak with a lot of the students beforehand, and you know, just talk to them. And I walk in there, and Erica Walters, who's a great director there, says, "Do you guys know this person?" And of course, I've been so far removed now. They're like, "Is he a football player?" And I was like, "Great guess, great guess." And we got to share a little time of fellowship together, and it was so great. It was so great.
Well, that's so awesome. I mean, we've had Dabo on the live stream once again this year, and he talks about the first year, which you were involved in, when the Clemson Life students came to practice. And he says, you know, they typically had sort of reserved it early on for just the freshmen, remain on the field. You're going to take these students through some drills. And he said pretty soon he knew the whole team was wanting to get involved. And you were a big part of all of that, Eric. Talk about why that was important to Clemson football while you were a part of the staff.
Yeah, it was something, you know, Debbie, that we had done, and it was cool and it was unique, and it was something that we obviously, you know, interacted with them as fans. And throughout my career, you know, that's kind of how it was. And it was autographs, pictures, you know, small talk, and then kind of, you know, move on. I think the students might have been invited to maybe a dinner or something of that nature, but it wasn't very hands-on, if you will. And then kind of fast forward, when I'm a GA back kind of working at Clemson, we really sat down and just said, okay, you know, what are things that we can do in the community, as one of our pillars was community service? What are things that we can do right here, where kind of our feet are, that, you know, can be very impactful? And I remembered back, you know, to Clemson Life and what we did with football kind of only. And I said, man, how can we take that a step further? How can we make that so much better? And we put together this plan where essentially every athletic team at Clemson is going to put Clemson Life through a camp, and to run them through different drills and really be hands-on and, you know, super interactive, and just take that thing a whole nother step. And we had great buy-in, great support from the administration, the coaches. And then once it got to the players, I mean, it's common sense. It's easy. It was something that they were so receptive to, excited to be a part of. And then once you see it, I mean, you know, because you don't know everybody's background. You don't know if they have ever dealt with someone who has special needs, and how do you react? How do you do that? But I can tell you that the Clemson family was never more evident. It was never stronger. There was never more love, compassion, joy on a football field, basketball court, soccer field, track, whatever. And it was so empowering just to see, these young people come together, and it didn't matter what you look like, what your abilities are or aren't. Let's score a basket. Let's kick a field goal. Let's score a touchdown, a goal. And it was so fun to see everybody come together. And now, it makes me feel so cool that anytime that, I go somewhere and leave it, I want it to be better than I got there. And it is awesome to see where they've taken that 4 or 5 years now later to, like I said, the entire athletic department. It's really, really cool.
It's amazing to me, some of the numbers coming out of graduation where there are 650 students on campus that volunteer. And then the acceptance rate for families like mine to be able to get into Clemson is 11%. It's like harder than the Ivy Leagues. It's like ridiculous how necessary these programs are. But what a great leader Clemson has been in this field. When you look at all the proud things about being a Clemson grad, and I have people come up to me on the street all the time, like, I'm a Clemson grad. I'm so excited about the Clemson Life program. What do you think the Clemson Life program's impact has been on the football players?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to ask. It's a great question to ask, because when you see that, the reason I created that opportunity was to help Clemson Life. And it's the exact opposite. Clemson Life has helped every, team, not just football, but in particularly when I look at it, and I think it's almost this, you don't know what you have until it's questioned or until you see someone else enjoying it or loving it. And man, we had guys coming up to us after practice and say, this really helped change my perspective, that I don't have to go to practice. I get to go to practice, and I get to do these things at such a high level. And I just saw again, that I keep talking about joy, love, compassion from those guys. And when it was with Clemson Life and that whole team came together, it was just like a beacon of light on that practice field.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that, and again, to see that with volleyball, baseball, basketball, soccer, track, et cetera, it was really, really an honor to be able to be there.
Well, I can just tell you, my guy Frankie only does offensive drills. Okay,
Right.
We don't do any
That's all we
defense.
do. That's all we care about.
I mean, Brad Brownell was on earlier with us, and he was, texting me during their clinic, showing me Frankie doing some defensive slides. I was like, no, don't change what my guy knows. He knows shoot till your arm falls off and get behind the 3-point line. That's what he likes.
He will fit perfectly in the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast, by the way, because that's all we do. Bunch of shooters.
That's all we talk about is offense. Shoot till your arm falls off. That's
right.
One of the things I say on the air. I mean, that's the way it is. It's what we're promoting. And I'll tell you, I'm going to use you as a bridge to segue right into Dabo's garage to play basketball on his court, because the Clemson Life students have already experienced playing basketball in President Clement's driveway. Now, I know for me, before Frankie graduated, that was on my bucket list, and we were able to do that before everyone graduated. It was so fun. Next, I told Brad he's gonna have to give me the keys to Little John, but then we're gonna work our way over to Dabo. So we might have to do that sometime with you there in the house to help us play a little horse.
I think it would be an epic game of horse. Dabo doesn't lose a lot, so we've got to bring it. We've got to be ready to go against him.
I know he'll take every student down one at a time. I mean, I know how competitive he is. It's so great. You mentioned something earlier, Eric. It's not that you have to, it's that you get to. I have a lot of people ask me about this fundraiser. I mean, we've created a lot of opportunity for athletes in the state of South Carolina to be able to compete and train and to be able to organize. In June, the national games are going to take place in Orlando. There will be a big contingency of South Carolina athletes going to Orlando to compete. So excited that our fundraiser is going to help some of those athletes get to Orlando and has helped them train and compete leading up to that. When you think about the value of sport and why it's important to you and me, and it's our careers, it's our profession, it's our passion. When you think about the Special Olympic athletes, what comes to mind?
Really, sports can do things that nothing else can. Sports can bring people together like nothing else can. And from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all, skin colors, whatever it is, way of thinking, we can all come together and we can play some basketball. We can play some soccer, football, baseball, and it is such a powerful tool of community, and everybody can rally, not even just the folks playing, but the community around it, and the life lessons that you learn in a team setting is invaluable. You know, we have a baby girl on the way coming in October, and I can't wait to just fast forward, get her on a court, get her on a field, and to, you know, take those lessons and the things that they'll learn and the opportunities for everybody. That's what's so cool about what you're doing here, what the Special Olympics do, is that literally it is for anybody that can do it, and to, you know, shoot till your arm falls off, that's applicable for all of us. And so it's something that it's invaluable, and I love it. And to see the way that folks can come together just to play with a round ball is it's so special.
Well, you and Kaki, your wife, are going to be great parents. I can tell. You and I became fast friends over the weekend of graduation for Clemson Life. And I'm so enamored with getting a chance to meet you and know that we share a similar passion for a lot of different things. But how about our gigs with ESPN? Like, I mean, you're the football analyst on the ACC network, and you do such a great job. I have been in basketball for longer than you've been alive, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. How's it going for you in the TV business?
Yeah, it's an absolute dream. I have to pinch myself every day, and to think that this is how I make a living, to think that this is the opportunity that God has given me, the pedestal. And really what's crazy about it is that I didn't want it. I really didn't. You know, it's something that as a player, I was always kind of that mouthpiece, Debbie. And
Sure.
you know, I was told to go and speak to whoever came, whether it was Herb Street or Chris Fowler, Marty Smith, whoever came down. It was like, hey, Eric, can you do this? And it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and was very purposeful about that, and really thought that, man, this is a great platform for me to express myself and to get anybody who's watching, because I'm gonna need a job one day. This ball is gonna go flat. These cleats are gonna stop. And it was something that throughout my career, you know, folks said, man, you should pursue this, you should go do this and that. And I was like, no, you know, it's kind of fun as a hobby. It's fun to do as a former player, because I knew what it would take to be great, as you know, because of what you've done and the sacrifice and being gone and studying and traveling and all these different things. It's a lot. I mean, I watch more film right now as an analyst than I ever did as a player, and you know, looking into things and figuring out tendencies and just trying to be on our A game. And so, you know, went into corporate America, worked in sales and marketing and you know, promotions and things like that. And then when the opportunity kind of arose, it's one of those things where, you know, we have our plan and God has his plan, and he just kind of laughs at us and said, well, we'll get you where you need to go. And
Right.
That's exactly what it was. And when the opportunity was presented in front of me, it was something that I felt, okay, that this is it, you know, that this is something that we can go after and really, you know, use that pedestal to help shine his light. And I try and I hope and I wish that's, you know, what I do every time that I'm on camera. And it's just crazy to work with the people we do, the relationships that we have from behind the camera, in front of the camera, the folks that work at all these great schools to help us have the best product we can. It's an absolute dream to do what I do.
Well, there's no question. I feel the same way, and I've been on the air for a long time, and I don't plan on going anywhere. Let's hope
That's
the bosses
right.
see
That's
it that
right.
way. But you know, I know what I do to prep. You mentioned film, the study of the game. I work in the men and the women's side for college basketball, so that's a lot of Power Five, let alone all the other teams to study. I watch more film, and I study harder than I ever did in college. There's no question about it. And you sort of get into a routine. Like, what's your game day prep routine like? Or I know it's not just game day, but your prep leading into game day or studio shows or whatever it is that you may be doing for ESPN.
Yeah, really, you know, it kind of starts, I'll give you kind of a week. So I get home on Sunday and then immediately go back and watch the games. And that can range. It depends, you know, when the ACC is at a conference, that could range from, 15 different games to, you know, if we're playing in and people are kind of playing each other from, 7 to 8. So that changes dramatically, but you kind of go through that and just rewatch, because on game day, it is so hard. I mean, we have this big 6-box monitor and we're watching, 5 or 6 different games at once. And then to go back and to kind of see a little bit more than highlights, but just kind of see how the trends happened, or if there was a big play that you can kind of remember, go back and see what caused this, what did that take? So that's really, Sunday, Monday, kind of take a day off. Tuesday, kind of breathe a little bit, maybe see my wife, go to dinner, something like that. And then really Wednesday, you crank back up and you see, okay, what do these matchups look like? Who do we have? What teams are playing? Because that's what's so different about, studio versus calling a game. Because when it's the studio, you're focused on the entire conference and who everybody's really playing. And so that prep it's serious. And it's something that, man, you have to be on top of it, because I think, Debbie, with us in particular, and again, we've known each other a very small window of time, but I've seen you over the years and kind of know how you prepare. We want to be great. I mean, I could sit down, not watch a game, and I could tell you everything that happens football. I mean, at the end of the day, we have both played enough to where we know, but to be able to take it a couple of steps further, I need to know tendencies. I need to know before it happens and matchups and why things happen and who, and that comes from studying. And it's something that I take a lot of pride in, and I'm sure you do as well. I know you do as well. And it's something that you get in what you get out what you put in. And I think we both, there's a lot of time and a lot of hours, in this thing.
It's so subjective what we do, right? I mean, one day they like you, one day they don't like you. I always think one of the great compliments you get is when this team thinks you're a homer and so does this team at the same time in the same game. So,
That's right.
I don't think anybody realizes how much prep goes into preparing.
Right.
We have lots of resources now that we didn't have. I remember traveling with VHS tapes, like stacked up in here in my suitcase, so that when I could get to a hotel, I could beg the front desk to please let me in the conference room so that I could watch some film. And the game, it's just changed so much, right?
It's a little different. It's a little different. I do most of that just right here when I'm traveling. It's right there.
It's totally different. Like, we have a resource in basketball called Synergy, which can break down every play. I mean, I can tell you what a player A will do in the fourth quarter in the last 5 minutes on the road. It's that detailed. What is it like in football? Because I'm so enamored with football and the way football is organized. I was having a conversation with Dave Doran about just pregame on the field when you're not used to it, and you go down on the field and you see the sheer size and organization of what's happening pregame. What's that like?
Yeah, it can be crazy. There's a lot of stuff. So I think, kind of as in-depth as that is, I trust my eyes a little bit more than, some of these. And I think there's a great marriage to it. I think that certainly what you find in this business is some people are heavy numbers and stats and all of that. Some people are heavy to their eyes. And I love to find that, perfect world of using both and kind of trusting, the data, but also what you see and kind of what But leading up to it, with football, it's so much different, than basketball, because there's so many guys, there's so many things happening, especially college, that there's 130 dudes that are out there, and you're trying to figure out who's who and, what people look like. And if you are down the field, you're like, man, he's a little bit bigger than, he looks on TV and all those things. So you kind of get a battle rhythm and you kind of figure out, okay, where am I going to stand, 90 minutes out? Where am I going to stand 60 minutes out? And then by 30, go up to the booth and watch what you see and, different things like that. So it is something where it's organized chaos. There's so many different things going on at once. And, for the most part, there's kind of a general, wavelength of what folks do and the rhythm that they get into, but it's a lot of fun. And there's nothing like being on site, being live, being in person. It is just so much fun. The energy that you get from the crowd, from the players, it's like game day. There's nothing like it. Just like when you're a player, that there really isn't anything like it.
It is great. You're right about that. Okay, so kind of give us a little bit of a scouting report on the ACC. Just, give us a few things you're looking for.
Yeah, I'll start with your Wolfpack, because I know they're going to be jacked up, because I am so excited about Devin Leary. He is going to be, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, fighting for that top spot. I think if, man, they can stay healthy defensively, look out. I mean, championships should be the expectation. And I know it is for Coach Dorn and that staff. And when you look at the offense and why I think Devin's going to be so good, he's going into year 3 as a starter in the same system, the same offensive coordinator. There should be a substantial jump in what we see from him, production numbers wise, but also, just what he's physically able to do. And, I expect NC State to throw the ball a lot. That they tried to run it last year. They had the best blocking offensive lineman in the draft and Big Icky, and
Right.
he's now gone. So I don't think they're going to force the issue. I think they're going to throw it a ton. So I have really high expectations for those guys. I think the Clemson Tigers are going to be right back. I think that was kind of a weird year, 10-3 and the sky's falling. That's right.
Just a
That's
little
right.
blip.
Yeah, I think it was a little blip, and defensively for them as well. I think they're going to be the best in the country. When you see the defensive line that they have, a lot of star power. Would not be surprised at all if they have 4 or 5 defensive linemen drafted next year, which is mind-blowing to think about. It's going to come down to quarterback, as it mostly does. Is DJ going to be able to step up enough, or is a young guy in Cade going to push him and maybe take a spot? So it'll be interesting there. I think Wake Forest is going to be very solid. So really kind of a 3-man race in the Atlantic. And then when you look on the other side on the Coastal, I think it comes down to Pitt and Miami. I think Miami has more of a superstar when you look at quarterback and Tyler Van Dyke, who right there with Devin Leary fighting for that #1 spot in the conference. They lost some talent at receiver, but I think he makes everybody better. So little case of the dropsies in the spring game, but I think they'll just be fine. Defense, it'll be interesting to see what they look like, but Miami has some studs in the backfield and really a 4-man game that they're going to run the ball a lot. And then when you look at Pittsburgh, pretty much everybody back except for Kenny Pickett, who was the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft. And now with transfer portal and NIL, the best receiver in the country is leaving Pitt and going somewhere else. But they're so stacked in that room, and a little bit different than basketball than football. There's a lot of guys on the field. So losing one guy, unless it's a quarterback, it doesn't hurt you all that bad. So I feel Pittsburgh is going to be just fine.
Well, that's a great handicap of the league. I mean, I can't wait. I know I'm a huge college football fan, and you made me think of something earlier that I was going to bring up. Before you were born, when I used to work at the University of Kentucky, when I first got my job, first I was an intern, then I was the director of marketing. Our football coach at Kentucky was Bill Curry. And Bill Curry is one of the class guys I've ever been around in sport. One of the things that he would talk about that still resonates with me all these years later is the huddle. You mentioned it before. When you get in the huddle, it doesn't matter what color, what your beliefs are, politics, any of it. None of that matters, because you're all in the same huddle trying to win the next play. And team has always resonated with me. Like I've always been on a team everywhere I've been. Sports teams, athletic teams, corporate teams, and then your family. And you're getting ready to expand your team in October. When you think about team and you think about what we're doing for Special Olympics, and somebody's out there watching and heard you and listened to you give that great breakdown of the league and just where your passion and where your heart is, you're so animated, you're so fun, Eric. You just like, you got the whole package working right now. I mean, we all are sharing blessings with each other over what we get to do. And, what would you say to someone that is out there that's thinking, if I could give a penny for every free throw that we make, that's just $24, or maybe I could do a little bit more. What would you say to them?
Yeah, it's going to help this team. It's going to help this big cause that we have going, and it's going to change lives forever. So give what you can, support what you can, because I promise you that feeling when, you see pictures or you see highlights or videos of a young man, a young woman that gets to live this dream, because it's directly correlated, with the giving that you can do while watching all of this. There's no feeling like it. And there's a lot of times that, we give money to certain things or we give time and this and that, and you don't really get to see it. You don't get to really see the benefit. With this, it's direct and it's so quick and it's so easy. And the access that, these young men and women are going to have because of what you're doing here, and the support that we all can be giving is numerous. And so I think it's something that's very easy to do. Hit the link, hit whatever you have to do, and let's make it happen.
Listen, Emac, you're the best. You're helping our team. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for making your story a part of our story and for helping us advance this cause. I can't thank you for your time enough.
Yeah,
that is just, you're awesome.
Thank you so much. Keep loosening up. This is the big stretch.
Stay loose.